Okay, well, Andy, marketing manager, packaging and sustainability with Innovia, and of course the outgoing or past chairman of the European Bioplastics Association. I should think this conference has been something of a relief in a way, that you've had time to reflect and really sort of watch what's going on. So interesting to have your view on how the bioplastics industry is right now, and this is the 8th conference at the association stage. How do you think the association's doing?
I think it's doing pretty well. I mean, I think I've heard one or two people saying that it's not spectacular at the moment, but having said that, you're talking 20 to 30% growth rates, which pretty much any other industry would be unbelievably enthusiastic about. It's not an easy economic climate. Bioplastic materials are novel, they're more expensive than conventional plastics. So the brand has to have a reason for making the change, and it's not a particularly receptive market for that at the moment. Times are tough for people. But I think what we've certainly seen is a lot of examples where brands have been testing materials, getting themselves ready for when the market is more receptive to the idea of making a change for sustainability reasons that might cost a little bit more on the price of the pack.
And we're not just talking about the big, the Coca-Colas and the Danones, we're talking about brands right across the FMCG remit, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. All the way across. I mean, sustainability is a mega trend. It's not going away. We've only got one planet, so we've got to deal with that particular question. Having said that, what we tend to see, where we're always more successful, is where the brand message fits the message of the packaging. So in simplistic terms, natural food in natural packaging is a message that works. So that means you're talking about fair trade products, organic products, health, wellness categories, etc. Commodity bulk packaging, I think that's still some way off.
We talk about bioplastics. Of course, that's an umbrella beneath which we have biodegradables, and we have the drop-ins, the sort of bio-based alternatives to conventional plastics. They coexist together, but they can't always, presumably, it can't always be an easy relationship. Do you foresee a time when actually that might become an issue for the trade association?
I think the important thing to say is we're driven by the fact that these materials are a step forward in terms of sustainability. So you're stronger together than you are separate. At the end of the day, and I think you're starting to see this, is that it's the application that decides which of those factors is relevant. So, for example, I mean, I might want my house to be made of sustainable materials, but I don't want it to be biodegrading within 6 months. So it's a ridiculous example if you like, but at the same time it shows that they're different. It's the application that decides. Having said that, within my house, I'd like to think that I was taking out my food waste in a carrier bag, which could actually take that food waste off for anaerobic digestion or composting or some kind of method. So application specific, I think, is the way the industry is going. And when you do that, I don't think there's much conflict. And of course, many of these biodegradable materials are from renewable resources anyway. So if you wanted to split the association into the single most convenient way of doing it, you'd end up with 3 or 4 different associations, and then you lose the power of the voice.
But in the meantime, we've got an association for all reasons.
Yes, and at times you're thinking what's the most important driver and where's the focus and so on, and one part of it might want to put more focus on one particular aspect than another. You have to live with that. That's a fact of life. To
bring it to Innovia, I mean, obviously you're on the biodegradable side with NatureFlex.
Yeah, we cover both actually. Well, I mean, NatureFlex, we're talking 90% plus renewable resources, as well as being biodegradable and compostable. So we sit in that family where we have both attributes, which is convenient. And again, it's also one of the reasons why we strongly believe the association is stronger together. Because if you say biodegradable on one side and renewable the other, actually loads of us are afoot firmly in both camps.
Well, that's an excellent answer, and you're also a company that believes in partnerships too.
Yes, very much so. I mean, NatureFlex as a film is close to an oriented polypropylene or an oriented polyester type film. So heat resistance, transparency, barrier characteristics, moisture and gas, and so on. But I mean, Des, you know the packaging world as well as I do. Flexibles are made often of laminates, where you're taking a certain set of properties from one film and then different properties from the other film. And so what we're looking to do is partner up with producers who make materials which complement our properties. So we're looking for materials which are more tear resistant, which have stronger seals and more integral seals. And just as you might make a polyester and polyethylene laminate, you can make a Natureflex and a starch, or a Natureflex and a copolyester. Or even, if you come back to the sort of the renewable idea, why not a Natureflex with a green PE, a renewable PE, that will give you all the functionality of a PET-PE laminate, but with 95% renewable resources.
What is new from you at the moment, and are there any new application areas as well as new product?
Yeah, one of the things that's exciting us at the moment is we've been working again in order to enhance the materials, to develop a range of products which have a wide range of seal characteristics. So if I can just take one example here, and first thing you're going to say is it's a tray, and what are we doing? We're a film manufacturer, but actually that's the very point of it. There's a huge need for trays of different materials. Sometimes the polyesters, polystyrenes, polypropylenes. This particular one is a sugarcane bagasse tray. And what we've developed here is a new Natureflex called N948 under its development code. And this material has a direct seal compatibility with the majority of plastic tray substrates. So you could, for example, imagine that continues to be a conventional plastic tray for whatever application you might use it for, let's say a polyester. But the lid, of course, doesn't stay with the tray at the end. So that could be a compostable lidding film on a conventional plastic tray. We take the tray off for plastics recycling, curbside, and then we just compost or home compost the lidding film.
And just to clarify the term bagasse for our viewers.
Yeah, sugarcane, effectively, the waste from sugarcane.
So that in itself is an interesting, sustainable material because it is a waste product.
Absolutely. And I think that's the long-term vision of a lot of bioplastics, is that a lot of the feedstock will be the waste from the agricultural applications. We're not there yet in many cases. I mean, it's step by step on an R&D process. But if you like, we need to grow our crops for food. We need to grow our crops as well for other industrial uses and our fuel.
That's impressive, but does it necessarily capture consumer imagination? Do you think this industry would benefit more from some fantastic publicity stunt rather than the reasoned arguments that we hear year after year?
What a great idea.
Well, for Innovia.
I think if you had the right brand to do it, the problem, of course, is that although bioplastics is relatively new, we're business people, and so we're used to selling business to business. So great big publicity stunts are difficult. It's not what we do. Now, having said that, if you had the right brand product, someone who was ready to make a big jump, perhaps even literally jumping off a bridge, I don't know, with a bungee rope on the bottom. Who knows? Yes, you could do something like that.
Well, you've got some big guns lined up. I mean, I'm thinking, I don't want to put it on Coca-Cola, but of course they've just recently, in a completely different industry, helped the digital print technology massively by that Share a Coke campaign.
Absolutely.
Another industry that had spent years delivering reasoned arguments as to why Coca-Cola put various different names on the label, and suddenly everybody's talking about it.
Fantastic marketing, brilliant concept. I tell you what, I mean, to come closer to home, what I've always found very impressive with what Coca-Cola did with the plant bottle is they were making a big change, albeit with a polyester-based material, but a renewable polyester-based material. But they also understood that any kind of material change brings pros and cons. And what I think they did extremely well is by using sort of information on the website, they communicated openly to people and said, this particular metric, this particular factor is an improvement, this one's an improvement, this one actually is not quite as good, we go backwards slightly here, but we're aware of it and we're working on it. And by doing that, by being open and transparent, they gain credibility. If you tell everybody you're perfect, people don't believe you. If you say we're doing something and here's the information and one or two things aren't where we want them to be now, you actually improve your credibility.
Andy, I don't believe this industry could find a more steadfast and committed spokesman than you. You said earlier, my last question to you, but you said you're enjoying 20 to 30% year-on-year growth. how many industries can claim that? Not many, obviously. Yeah. But the reality is it's still just 1% of the total plastics market.
Absolutely right.
In 5 years' time, where do you see it?
We've seen some figures during the course of the conference which are showing something like a fourfold growth in capacities during that timescale. So that's where I would anticipate us to be. I think we're on the cusp of something of a greater growth rate. As the world economy comes out of recession, people are going to be ready to say, yeah, it's time to make a little bit of an investment. And one of the hurdles we have to come over is people think that it's a big investment. But you know what? In the packaging world, if you switch from a conventional plastic to a renewable compostable plastic, you almost can't see the price difference on the final pack price.
Sure.
Packaging is very, very cheap in relation to the cost of the product.
Sure.
So it's not that big an investment.
Very good. Andy, thank you very much.
Thank you.